We'll start the meeting of September 19th at 6:02 for the Recreation Committee. Members present?
Celine Muldowney.
Mary Anastasio.
Sorry, Cindy Courier, Council on Aging Liaison.
Mark Sand?
And David Broll. So we've done that. Reading of previous meetings minutes to review and accept. Everyone do it? I looked at them.
Yeah, I did.
I'm not good at doing editing, but.
Make a motion to accept.
Motion to accept the meetings of
So moved.
the meeting, I don't even know what the date is. Looks like August 1st, 2022.
Second.
I make the motion, you wanna?
I second.
There we go.
All right. Bill schedule. Celine.
Mary.
Mary. Sorry, Mary.
So we've had some bills from the nursery, and then we have G Mello that needs to be done, yeah.
Now, Gmello is monthly, correct? Or
Yes.
And what does that come up to?
$158.25.
And does that stay year round? Mark, do you know, there's a certain point we bring it back to?
Yeah, usually beginning December 1st, we suspend service till April 1st.
Okay. Unless someone fills it, and then it's on call, right?
Yeah, but hopefully, we'll talk about that down
Okay.
later,
Okay.
but yeah.
All right, perfect. Correspondence? All right. I think we're into bills and claims, old bills, signage on basketball court. I emailed James, have not heard back from him. Gave him the list of what we wanted on the sign, but I have not heard back. Fall applications, approval, process going forward?
It's all done, isn't it?
I think we can vote
All
on
of those
something.
have been approved. My question really has to do with, what are the steps that we don't, with the new system, who's going to check in? When is Lindsay going to inform us if we have it? Who's responsible for what part? And I'm not saying we have to answer that all now, but just so that there's no more hiccups coming
Well,
down.
I know when an application comes in.
Okay.
I'm CC'd on it with Lindsay, and I think you're on there too. And we reserve them until we talk about, and then she sends it out to everybody. And then
Okay.
we talk about it at the meeting, and we accept them or not, and then we transfer the reservation to an actual rental, and it generated this awesome invoice. It was beautiful.
Good. Invoices are good.
It was just very smooth sailing.
Okay.
Is it
And then she made sure the appropriate documents were,
Okay, how do we follow up on that for future reference?
she knows what's needed, the insurance and the court.
Okay, and she'll be the one responsible, she?
That she has been, and she'll
Okay,
continue.
just want to, just make sure it's clear that there's no.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
It's the same as before, it's just using the online system.
And is it already in the online system right now? Like, is the calendar up and say these areas are blocked off this spring? Cool.
If you go on the Newbury Recreation
yeah,
website,
I've
you'll
seen
see
that.
the My Rec thing, and
Okay.
then you can see what's.
Okay, awesome.
So what I'm suggesting is, it's more efficient this way than what we were doing, and having Lindsay do what she's doing makes it a more effective and efficient means than trying for us to track down.
Yeah,
The
yeah, I mean,
documents,
the invoices are generated right away, and then they have to pay them right away.
Gotcha.
I don't know if they figured out how to upload the documents, but she knows how to do it, so,
And she can guide them.
yeah, we did a redundant system this year. We did both the hard
Yep.
copy and the online system. So, yeah, I was really pleased with the way.
So, would it make sense for anytime we get information regarding an application an application that comes to us personally, send an email, respond to them the applicant about the direction to do and CC Lindsay so that she can help track it?
No, all they have to do is go online and start.
Somebody
the
calls me
reservation.
up and says, hey, I want to do this.
Tell them
I
to-
will tell them to go online.
She'll
but I
get an
want-
email, we'll get an email.
I understand it.
Oh,
But to make sure that she's aware that this one's coming down the pipeline. So if there's a problem, that the person knows who to contact at town hall.
I think that's
So
what
on
the
the-
idea is, right?
So I think, I hear what you're saying, that you want to make it as customer friendly, if you will.
Yeah.
That if there's a break in the technology.
Right.
That Lindsay's the person who can help. But I think it says a contact person on this. So we probably want to change behavior instead of having a personal handoff, which that's the customer service and that's like the preferred method. You do want to just keep directing them to that online.
I
for that.
understand that, but if they're having problems, do you want me to have them call you or call Lindsay?
So on the online support, doesn't it give you
gives you, yeah, it gives you a
a help
help section.
in section? So,
But Lindsay's gonna be the contact.
yeah,
Okay, that was my point.
Yeah, we're not babysitting this.
Perfect.
and just like 1-800 service or whatever, you want, the
It's-
world is directing to self-service, so
It's, we don't have a.
Trust me,
I hear
I'm
you.
in a situation now with Dropbox where I can't get access because the former user is no longer alive and the email address is no longer active, but I can't contact them by phone. They said by email, and they do the confirmation by the email that's listed, but that
Which is that
email is no longer
in kind-
active.
So you're in that loop.
I'm in
And
that
you're
loop.
just trying to give somebody the out of that
Yeah,
loop.
here's a way to get out,
Yeah, makes sense.
We don't have a lot of users, and it went really smoothly. I mean, you did the dummy thing, and that was quick and easy, and they all figured it out lickety-split. So, the only people who haven't tried it is lacrosse.
Okay, so I'll let Lindsay know that. Just kidding, just
Next
kidding.
year.
Okay.
Okay, next on our list is location of dumpster.
We were talking about dumpster, pickup it's suspended. It should be locked and not openly accessible if there's a crack area so the dog walkers can put their stuff in.
Yep.
It has been continuing to be migrating. When they pick it up and dump it, they just drop it wherever it ends up. And one
That's
time,
true. It
Yeah.
is, it's like really random.
random spots, and people can drive around it, but it just becomes problematic. And when there are multiple games, like on a Saturday or Sunday, parking starts to become more precious. At one point, I believe DPW was looking at putting a concrete pad down and just having it in one spot. So if we could maybe talk to.
Okay. I'll email James and ask him about that, the concrete pad.
Yeah, just
All right.
someplace, somewhere close enough that people will use it.
So the location of it now, or where it has been, which is sort of in the center,
Yeah,
that is,
It's fine, but it just keeps creeping away from the edge.
so it goes more out to the
It
parking
keep,
lot.
yeah,
Okay.
so it's like, you can drive around it, like you said, it's weird.
now if you could open it up from either side and dump in like a drive-through.
But it's weird.
Okay. And next on our list here is spending plan.
I sent an email to the town administrator looking for some numbers. Was she able to get back to you on that, Dave?
I don't believe so.
Oh, I thought you were looking at me, I'm like, I didn't get
Let me
the
just
email.
find out, because she might have. It takes me a half a second to figure this out.
By the way, this is Courtney Boudreau, and she's thinking about joining.
Hello.
We have to make our best.
So she's here to observe. And ask questions.
No. I have not. Nope. I went back to the flag, so unless something came
Okay.
in.
Could we follow up on that?
Yes.
And namely looking for example, if the DPW compensation for field maintenance is increased, that we know what it is so that we can
Yep.
identify our discretionary spending.
About spending, since it's sort of on that, and I don't know if we have to do this on the next meeting, it's probably something that we should talk about, is the septic. Did you ever get any bill for septic work? We should probably look into bringing that up at the next meeting, or is that something we can discuss now?
As part of the spending plan, we need to include that in
Yeah.
the spending plan.
Because I don't think it's been done since it's been installed, so,
We have not paid for anything.
I think,
How long ago was that?
Well, it was installed a while ago, but then we had
There was no
COVID.
use, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, I mean,
it's
it's
not-
probably,
it was a
yes,
full,
it's
it
a
was a
while,
full
but
season
Yeah.
this past spring,
Mhm.
correct? So, at least if we have someone come and clean it out, I guess DPW is probably the people we should talk to about that.
Contractor.
Is that something we should vote on?
Yes.
Okay.
And do we want to have it at the conclusion of soccer, so we get a full reading of what a
Yes.
full year is?
I think so.
Okay.
So I make a motion that we allocate and encumber the necessary funds up to, I don't know how much it's gonna cost.
I would say it won't be more than $1,000.
No more than
Yeah.
$2,000 for request DPW to have the tanks emptied at the end of the season, after Thanksgiving, and give us a reading as to what the usage is.
Any seconds?
I second.
Any discussion? Shall we vote?
You should.
Yes.
Yay?
All in favor?
I-
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. Field and facility policy review.
Did everybody have a chance to give it a hard look?
I did.
There are two things I took liberty, well, one was trying to organize it so we're not inconsistent in our policy, where one part it says X and one part it says Y. Trying to keep the formatting the same. It was kind of juggled, the copy I was working from. The concerns I had were the dates. One of the dates we had for the fall term was to begin at a particular time and not due in, it was something like the very end of June, and that we would make a decision by the very first week of July, which would typically be the 4th of July week, which I don't know if we'd be wanting to meet then. And I wanted to bring it to your attention so that it's out there in the open. Looking at the calendars and stuff, I think it would be easy for us to vote on it earlier, and that way our users know way beforehand than trying to reconstitute ourselves in July with new people and try to vote on it at the either July meeting or the August meeting, which may or may not happen, as we know, with such a small board and people, one or two people missing, we can't vote. So it'd give us more time to respond to it. And the users, if they're aware of the time frame. The other one is, again, with the timing, the summer and the spring come online at the same time and voted on at the same time, so that summer is done. And people, ideally, and this is one of the reasons one of the selling points of the field house was to get summer programming going. If you're running a summer program, you'd want to know before April that you have access to the property. So I know with the camps I'm involved in, we open up in September, we're done by January. So I just want to speed, accelerate it so that we're on, if something should happen, we have a little time to deal with it as opposed to not being able to provide that information to the applicant.
So here's a random question. With this new MyRec system, do we need to have a due date?
Yes, because we need to access for all those who want to apply, like soccer and lacrosse at the same time. We want to say we can open it up at this date and we're closing it. We vote on those people. We can't have, I don't think we should have, because from our priorities is some of our existing users like lacrosse and Triton soccer. If the space is not filled up and somebody wants to apply after that time, they can fit it filled in that extra space. But we have everybody at the same time to access property.
And what are the dates we have right now?
For what, the application, or?
And what do we want to change them to? I guess that's the question. Or is there a definitive, I don't have,
Here.
nothing came in on my email from that.
Do you have that?
I have it, but I can't figure it. But
Yeah, I couldn't get it.
did look at it, but I didn't do a hard look, but pretty good look.
So you're suggesting what, Mark?
That the dates for the spring
In the summer?
and the summer are consistent, so they can fill it out, and we can just vote on the spring and summer at one.
But they
one
are.
meeting.
Aren't they? Did you change them? They are consistent here.
They are consistent.
It says January 15th.
Yes, they're due the 15th and respond by the 10th of February, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the idea is to keep them the same, so we can come in and do spring and summer, and we're done until May of voting.
Yeah.
That's all good.
When does that open up for registry? December?
December 15th, I believe.
So they
November
have,
1st.
oh, so they have the 1st through January 15th to apply, and it closes, review, that makes sense.
Yep.
Everybody okay with those
Changes?
changes?
I think it's perfect.
Okay. The other detail in there, which we would need to do, is there is a request that people use the spike cleaner before they go into the bathrooms. If we're making that request, we need to supply it.
There is one there?
There is, not that I am aware of.
I thought we voted on that way back when. Do you remember that
Yes, we did.
discussion? We just never got one?
We just never got it.
Okay. Do we have to revote to appropriate?
Yes.
Does anyone have an idea how much something like that would cost?
I don't. It's probably no more than $30. But can we, that can be a separate vote from accepting the policy to move forward to the town council for their review. And then if they will get us our changes, and at the next meeting, we can then.
Okay. So at this point, we just have to vote to send it to town council.
Town council for their review.
And they have to review it and see if everything's good.
And if we can also attach to that, if there's not any major objections, we can just schedule something with the Board of Selectmen, Select Board.
So first goes to town council and then to the, okay. Should we make a proposal to forward our policies and procedures to town council for approval? A second on that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's do it.
Let's put this puppy to bed.
And then can we, I would make a motion that if there's no major objections by the town council, that if on her approval, or their approval, we can forward it right directly to the select board
And get it approved.
and get it approved instead of waiting till the next meeting.
Second. Anyone else? Roland, no discussion? Want to vote? Aye?
I-
Alright, it's good, it's good. So we did that, spending plan, field policy review, and now I think we're into new business. Use of non-appropriated funds for master plan or environmental review.
Was that contacting Chris Huntress?
That's part of it, yeah. How do we pay for that? Where do the funds come from? I do know there, in years past, there was a conversation had that the town administrators has a budget for environmental work coming out. There may be a consultant that has been hired by the town, I don't know. But the idea is looking at different funds to, instead of coming directly out of our budget, there are other options out there for the environmental review that's required for if we were to go forward with the bridge that went to nowhere last time. And if there is the master plan that we've talked about, where are the resources coming for that? The master plan for Pipes, Dave, was in excess of $30,000. So we may want to use different funds than coming out of our appropriations.
What was for what? What was more than $30,000?
There was a study conducted for the Pipes Dave property in West Newbury.
Oh, okay.
It's my understanding it was in excess of $30,000, how to best utilize that parcel of land.
I think that, and again, I was in on that conversation at one point with Tracy, and at that point, she said there was money set aside for doing things like this, but I think that's something we should discuss with her to get an approval on it, or not approval, just that she agrees, so that
She
we.
encouraged us to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, so that we don't end up doing
There's
something.
money's coming from the state to the town, and we're supposed to get some of it, and we're coming up with a master plan for the Central Street.
But a lot of this also has to do with, you have to, when we did the basketball court, we had to go forward with a whole, had to talk to someone that was basically a manager. This guy had already scoped out the land, done some work on it previously, but he charges a fee to do that. And we were talking about maybe using some land across the street, across the way from here, for eventually being another field, and that sort of site work requires a fee. So at one point, Tracy had said there was money to do that. So I think that should just be explored to find out that what you're looking at approving, and that money comes from the town and not from our budget.
Can I make a suggestion that you and I have a meeting with Tracy at her convenience and your convenience?
Yeah, absolutely.
To discuss options.
So I'm a little concerned that we haven't been able to reach Chris, because it's been,
Chris Huntress, are you talking about? Yes, we can't get any numbers because he doesn't know the scope of the project.
Is he the
But-
basketball court? Did
He
do the basketball?
he did the basketball court design. He also did, I think he did the original plans on that whole field and the soccer fields. He did all the design work for that. And because of that, it made it really, really easy for him to sort of take over the basketball court, because he had the setbacks, he had the information about how close it was to wetlands, so a lot of that stuff was sort of taken care of. So we sort of skipped a lot of the steps because it was done once before.
so we've connected with him.
Months ago, a conversation was had, and he said, I have no idea the scope of the project. Once you have a better understanding of what the scope of the project is,
I don't remember hearing that.
he, as any consultant, they don't want to go too far down the road and give things away.
Okay, because last I heard you guys we hadn't even reached him, so.
Yeah, so that's what I recall
Yeah.
as well, that.
We had a
there was
couple calls out.
We had calls out, but we didn't get the feedback
Yeah.
back, but that's good, as long as,
We have
good.
that information, and it's ours.
So he's interested and he's in dialogue, but he's not gonna have dialogue until we know
Yeah.
what he tells.
No consultant's gonna have a plan for you for us.
But he's willing to,
Everybody's willing to, yes.
okay. And then it's just, at that point, figuring out what everybody wants out of the pie. And what, but we probably should move on that while the funds are available, because we don't want to lose that.
Tracy, and depending on the estimates, again, looking at what pipe stave was, it may be something that we need to go out to bid for.
Though, we're already well underway. You know, we have our fields, we have a court, we're looking to add a few more things, I don't know how.
Well, there are two different things going on. One is the master plan, as one individual has expressed, for all the recreational opportunities in the town. The second, another part of that is, do we include the 2 large parcels of land that was allocated, that was purchased by the town for recreational purposes, which means the property on Central Street and the property on Kent Way. And getting the environmental work done on Kent Way so that when we make a decision as what to do, if we apply for the order of conditions, we have a period of time in which we can utilize that and/or extend it, even if it's just clearing the field. Most of the consultants I have spoken to and people in the field would say, the first thing you need to do is clear it to understand what you have there. I mean, I've walked through it, it looks like it could be used for multiple purposes. The original plan had, I believe, two baseball fields, a basketball court, parking for 40 cars, and a concession area.
Oh, we have table that for now.
Yeah, I think what we should probably do is, talking about the master plan, is figure out what everyone has in their little desire package. You know, whether it's, you know, a stage at Central Street, or I thought about doing a track around the field or something like that. And I think that if we had a general idea of these 2 properties and what everybody sort of has an idea on, we can vote on one thing and then go through the process, even if it comes down to, like you say, to clearing that place, get the environmental impact done on that. Maybe the town will pay for that, and then figure out how long it would take for them to clean that out, and then that portion is done, and then we figure out what we want to put on it, and then the same thing. So I think what it is just to look at, I mean, we've chopped up a bunch of stuff over the last bunch of years, and to figure out what we want to bite into next. Does that sound fair?
I think that's it. And looking at the availability of certain resources, this might be the better time to do as much as we can with the environmental work instead of going, instead of looking at within our own appropriations, which would not necessarily cover it with our current ongoing expenses, be able to shift it to another, what's what I'm looking for, non-consistent form of funding, to just get that resolved. And then, you know, even if that was just, Kent Way is parking for the library, so I don't know if anybody's been there. If there's a game going on, it's hard to get access to the library. Cars are parked on Lunch Street. I've heard from the librarians, it's really hard for their patrons to get it. So if we were to help alleviate that by parking on the other side, clearing out as we're doing it, because we might as well have access to empty reserve fields, so that Mantor Central Street can't be used. Well, they can go down there and practice and tear it up.
Yeah, so I think the idea, what you're saying is basically, if we get the first process, or to have them do the site work and get that taken care of by the town, if they'll do that, then we have, we'll have that area, okay, let's clear it, make it parking, and then we, at the same time they clear all that stuff, we have a parking area, and then we can figure out what we want to do with that in the future. But at least we make that first step by finding out from the town administrator if whatever site preparation that has to be done, whatever kind of paperwork, the town, find out what the cost is, and that the town will cover that. Is that something that someone wants to talk to? You want me to talk to? Anybody thought on that?
Well, that could be part of the...
Our conversation?
Our conversation, yeah.
All right. All right. use of non-appropriated funds, did I say that?
Yeah.
Yep, and then we got pickleball. Everyone loves pickleball.
Pickleball.
I don't know if people saw some of the latest internets. Kevin Durant and Drew Brees are big pickleball players, professional athletes. Drew Brees actually is part owner of a professional pickleball team. No, I was not recruited, but thank you. Thank you.
Next year, maybe next year.
I know. And I think it would be in our best interest to collaborate with the Council on Aging and start moving pickleball for the residents.
So, on that note, since we're discussing it, when we originally did these fields, there was talk about putting a separate field, but obviously money didn't work into that category. Is this something I think that we might want to talk to Chris Huntress about to see, or the designer that did Vermont landscaping, if there's something that can be added to the basketball court to make an easy change, so that with certain times we can use that as a pickleball court and not just totally for basketball?
You mean change the lineage?
Yeah.
Well, my suggestion is using temporary lines to make sure there's an interest.
I know there's going to be an interest, yeah. It's cool.
We could put down a portable net and lines.
Yep.
Gauge the interest for this season.
Yeah.
If we get a certain number, even if we get 10 people regularly, we can make it happen. And if there's that much demand, maybe we start looking at other places where we might be able to play it in different seasons. But right now, can we use the court, and just reserve a time block? We would work with Council on Aging to figure out an open time that we would reserve it online to say, all right, here's a period of time that they would have it. We have a net, or I have a net and lines. I'd be willing to donate, and let's see what the interest is.
You have one?
Yes.
Okay, because yeah, I was just looking at one. There's $400 for one online. Ooh, yeah. Okay.
I wasn't going to get the one with the automatic return, so you could go solo.
Yep. There are some expensive ones.
But just to gauge the interest, if there's
Yeah,
an interest,
absolutely.
fantastic. But instead of investing all kinds of money for something, is that something we could?
I think it's a good idea. So we have our next newsletter going out for October, November. I can push something out there to try and gauge some interest.
So I guess that the other question comes in, how do we block off? Because we're a rec committee, we could probably just block off the courts for certain
Well,
times.
especially during school, the council and
Yep.
anything.
It's gonna be when,
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that,
No one
you know,
else.
for legitimacy, we should probably,
Go online and
yeah,
block up.
block off.
just like
block
I
off.
did for
yeah,
the field
yeah.
users.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you gonna take lead on that, or?
I will take lead on trying to figure out my rec stuff,
Okay.
and so I'm familiar with the process. I'll ask Lindsay to provide me with any technical assistance needed.
All right, so a motion to have Mark run the pickleball.
Like I said, I will work with Lindsay
To have Mark run the pickleball for the Council of Aging.
in collaboration with.
In collaboration with the Council of Aging, if I can say that properly.
Is there any plan to maybe expand that to more than just the council?
Yeah, absolutely. If we can get it up and people show interest, it would be great if we said, in the spring, we have Monday and Wednesdays yoga, Tuesdays and Thursdays, family time. We'll figure something out once we get it up and going.
Okay.
But yeah, what I'm envisioning is a time for 50 and older, Council on Aging or whatever the magic
I
number
don't
is.
turn
but-
anybody away.
And
see
then
that being
a
advertised.
time for families to access it, or younger people. I do know a couple people who have indicated that they would be willing to teach a course on it.
Excellent.
So people know how to play.
Maybe in the summer on the weekends too. That might
Sure.
be-
Yeah, going year round.
Yeah, we can block off time.
But for us, I would absolutely do stuff during the week, like you're saying, when
Yeah.
no one's using it, so. But I will put that in the next newsletter, and I'll keep you posted.
Great, thank you.
Is that a motion thing we have to go through, anyone?
I don't think I have a motion.
Okay, replace steel plate across crossing. I did not know that the steel plate was no longer there.
It's still there.
Okay,
Last year we allocated some funds to replace it. The environmental aspect of it did not go, was not, environmental work needs to be done to replace it with a more traditional crossing.
Is this the one that goes
Yes.
Triton?
Yeah. What is now,
From Andrew Triton down?
there's little,
Okay,
there's a
yeah,
10-foot by 5-foot steel plate.
yeah, we talked about this,
Yes.
okay,
The environmental process was, as we voted on, was removed without prejudice to be reevaluated. And I don't know if we want to continue with that. And
Is it-
then,
I'm sorry, is it unsafe or is that?
well, here's a good question. It was never designed to be permanent.
Permanent.
It is now permanent. It is
Yeah, I
around.
walk over it a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I go over it a lot too. I do know that in the wintertime in particular, there is, when snow covering and some cross-country skiers have gone up the edge
Oh, sure.
because they don't know where the edge is. So the idea was, and if you are on it and it's rainy, it's more slippery. So the idea was to replace it with something that's more attractive, a little bit safer, and sort of help establish the connection between the Central Street Athletic Fields and the Triton campus. And I do know at the far end, they have that walkway.
Yeah, well, it's like a boardwalk,
The
but very
boardwalk.
crazy overgrown and then to the
Yeah,
back.
so the idea is that there's a great opportunity for people who are walkers to extend that hiking from there up to the river. And this be the first step.
we can also, talk to DPW about, because they have carpenters and they have now a license,
GM,
GM, or a license,
general contractor,
yeah,
yeah.
construction supervisor, which makes it easy for them to get approval to do stuff. And then it's just the Conservation Commission. So I think the first thing we have a talk with James to find out if that's something that they're interested in, and then find out what the direction is, the environmental part of it. Because they're gonna have to remove that.
Yes, they'll have to remove it to
Yep.
replace it. The sticking point is, again, this goes back to the earlier, the funding for the environmental study.
Yep.
That's a area of critical, environmental critical area. So it needs a more extensive
Yep.
review
Yep.
than, and the idea is getting an environmental engineer out there to say, here's where the setbacks need to be, here's a design that would be the least impactful. So it goes back, more of it has to go back to the funding sources,
Yep.
if this is something we want to do. If we just leave it, that's-
I think it's a great idea. I think that this should go on our list to talk to Tracy, because it keeps on going back to funding of these
Yeah.
studies and to get approval. Because once it's approved, then it would be, the next step is to try to talk to DPW and find out if that is something that they want to take on. And then if it is, it may just come down to us for cost as far as materials.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
I do know somebody who may be willing to contribute monies for the material. I have talked to some parents, and they would be interested in having their daughters help. Students at NES to help
Build it?
build it,
Okay.
because it's, stewardship,
Yep.
particularly with the.
But I think that's Plan B after Plan A is getting
Right.
approval for it. So,
But it's
So
the right thing to
the
do.
question to the committee is this something we want to pursue again? Is replacing the steel plate with a more permanent structure?
Yes.
I think so.
I make a motion that we pursue and looking at the costs for the environmental study to go forward with this.
I second that.
Any discussion, other than what we had?
Who made the motion?
You did.
Oh, I,
You did.
Write that down.
You did.
okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, let's do it. And I think that's all on the list.
That's it.
All right, are we ready to adjourn the meeting at 6:42? This is not a record. I want to let you know, because I
Do
think
you
we've
want to
done it.
schedule the next meeting before?
Yeah,
you-
oh, that's right, good plan.
First week of October.
So if we didn't schedule, that means we wouldn't have one. Just like, no, this is actually, anyway, swimmingly. Yeah. Are we thinking October 3rd or?
Yes.
That's just 2 weeks away.
2 weeks away?
We'll have the meeting with Tracy by then, hopefully, and have answers.
Yeah,
Because the following week is Columbus Day weekend, and then then we'll start running into that same
Yep.
problem of,
yep.
it's only 2
I don't know how
weeks.
we would set our, is Monday night good for people on the 3rd of October?
I do know Ben would not be able to make it, so it's essential that the 4 of us are here.
Anyway, we could do Tuesday?
I'm good on Tuesday too.
Just check to see.
Yeah, to make sure there's no select board meeting.
That's why, isn't it Tuesday the rough night?
I think it's the,
It's
is
usually
it the first and third?
for the select board, but then somebody else meets on the other ones.
Finance, maybe?
Are Mondays just bad?
Mm,
They're not
Could we
good.
do it a little bit earlier than 6?
If Ben is not available as a student, we can go anytime. We can do it in the morning,
Okay.
if that's okay with people. No?
So what time? No, not usually in the morning.
Could we do 5:30 Monday? Or is that
Um,
half hour, something in here?
I could probably make it happen. It doesn't seem like I can get any further than September on the town meetings, I mean, on the,
Maybe they're the second and fourth.
So 5:30 to 7.
How about 5:30 until we're done?
No,
Want to cut off?
I'm
Um,
sorry. We did that years
yeah,
ago.
I'm just saying that we're done at 4.
Oh, we're done early, yes.
We're done early.
7 at the latest.
I don't want to say we have to be here
yeah,
later.
yeah,
We
7.
told people-
So we're gonna try to attempt to do this at 5:30?
If that works, I can make that on Monday the 3rd.
Yeah, sure.
No deliveries?
You have no idea. Let me just put that in. October 3rd at 5:30, Recreation Committee. All right, it's official. Then I guess we adjourn at 6:46 PM.